In the near future, if you're considered useless to society, you will be banished to a desert full of people like you. You will be called the Bad Batch and you're on your own from here on out. Welcome back to our channel. Today we're gonna explain and recap movie The Bad Batch, 2016. Buckle up, spoiler ahead and let's begin. These Bad Batch inmates are given a number that is tattooed behind their ears. Arlen Johnson, Bad Batch inmate 5040, is a young blonde female inmate who is given a number behind her ears and confined behind a chain-linked gate. She stands behind the gate watching two guards drive away in their cars. Arlen is sitting on the ground in a barren desert, her dark eyes exploring her surroundings as she eats her hamburger. She gets up, grabs her backpack and water bottle, and walks behind the sign stating that the region is outside of the United States and that American laws and citizenship do not apply. Find the dream, find comfort, says a flyer read by Arlen. The wind picks up, and she scans the landscape for wide expanses of barren desert encroaching on distant mountains. She continued to walk, turning and circling the bottle with her arms. She removed her hat and gazed at the blue sky and sparse clouds before proceeding to the abandoned rusting automobile with the cracked windshield and peering inside through the open passenger window. She walks around the back of the car, opens the driver's door, throws her backpack inside, and gets in. She pushes the door open and adjusts herself in the mirror. She strokes her eyes, cheeks, and lips with her finger. She takes her lipstick from her backpack and applies it with her fingertips. As she enjoys her stuff, a small vehicle approaches from a distance behind her. As she is busy looking at the childhood photograph that she keeps in her wallet, she looks in the mirror. When she notices two people approaching her in a golf car, she began fleeing from the vehicle. Meantime, a blonde muscular woman reaches out and grabs her from behind. Arlen is taken by two women in a golf cart. Arlen awakes, staring hazily, and lies in the sand beneath a circular pile of things from a wrecked plane. When she tries to move, she discovers that her left arm is tied to a shelter vault. Her right arm is strewn across the ground and tied to a stake. She tries to break free from her restraints. A muscular woman with ginger hair looks at her as another woman kneels beside Arlen and injects her right arm with a syringe needle. That woman goes and brings a handsaw and cuts Arlen's right arm. The woman throws Arlen's arm into an iron grill before sawing off her right leg. To avoid infection, the woman takes the hot iron pan from the grill and puts it against Arlen's leg cut area. Arlen is laying in the dark, her arm and leg bandaged. There is a community of cannibals who are working out in the morning. They are very muscular and heavy-weighted. There's a tall, muscular man with his long, dark hair pulled back into a ponytail. His torso is covered in many tattoos, one of which reads Miami Man. He takes a sip of soda and looks through his vintage sunglasses. He then checks the shade for a couple of skinny people, each with a missing leg. He finishes his soda, crashes the can, and walks away. Arlen is up in the morning and started fighting for his freedom. Arlen thinks about escaping from this place again at night as she realizes that there are more hostages like me pleading for their lives. She sits on a pot to relieve herself of her bowels. Arlen is covered in feces splattered on her face, hands, and legs as the woman walks up to her. Arlen is freed from the chain after the woman unlocks the combination lock. She then drags Arlen over the sand and abandons her in the scorching sun. The woman walks away and Arlen scans the area for an iron bar, which she grabs and hides beneath her body in the sand. The woman comes back, carrying water and a cloth to clean Arlen's arms and legs. As the woman turns away to rinse her cloth in the water, Arlen sits up slowly, grabs the iron rod, and strikes the woman across the back of her legs, then across the face. Arlen shuffles through the sand on his head, giving the woman two final smacks to the skull. Arlen pushed and pulled herself across the sandy ground with one arm and one leg. When the coast was clear, Arlen crawled herself through the sand to see cannibalism of human limbs. She takes the skateboard from the compartment and pulls it out. She reaches the desert center by lying on it. She stops to rest, breathing heavily. The scorching heat has exposed her sweaty face. Crows surround her head and begin to swoop down on her body. A mute hermit saves her in the desert and takes her to Comfort, a makeshift community with all-night raves. 5 months later, Arlen has a prosthetic leg in the home in Comfort. Comfort is a safe place to live because cannibals cannot access their community. Everyone is working, and some have opened businesses to sell their wares. Some people are selling food, while others are selling other kinds of stuff. Every service, including a medical doctor and rifle repair, is available in this community. Arlen wanders around the skateboard park. On the other side, after dark, a Miami guy sits inside his shabby home constructed from an airplane fuselage, wearing reading glasses and painting a portrait of his daughter. With long curly blonde hair, the little girl is very pretty. She comes to sit on her lap after seeing her portrait, and he gently pats her hair as they look at the painting. He leaves her to her painting and wanders downstairs with his headphones on, listening to music. He walks towards the one-armed woman appealing for mercy. He takes his headphones off. He cups his hands around her face and twists her head violently. His hands are coated with blood after that. He's wearing an apron and using a knife to butcher the girl's body parts. Later, a black woman with a plate full of food in her hand stands over a flaming barbecue grill, staring at bony meat. She is very annoyed because of these killings. She exits, leaving a Miami man and a young girl by the fire. He's eating barbecue with ribs. She takes a revolver from her dressing table, where she was posing like a model, and walks out of her room. She takes a pistol and wanders out into the desert. Investigating a golf cart similar to the one used by the cannibals, she finds a woman and little girl scavenging in a garbage dump. Accusing the woman of being part of the cannibal community, Arlen shoots her in the head. She takes the girl back to Comfort, and this scenario is observed by the hermit through his little telescope. Arlen takes the little girl to Comfort. The little girl stops in front of a vendor with a variety of bunnies in his cart. She's keeping a close eye on them. When Arlen arrives, he hands them money in return for a rabbit. Following that, the little girl cuddles his bunny and follows Arlen to her house. Arlen persuades the young girl to listen to her. Meantime, with the glaring heat and a trail of dust behind him, a Miami man arrives on his bike. He walks over to the golf cart, which has a stuffed elephant sitting on the dashboard. He discovers the body of a black man being eaten by crows in a dumpster. He looks at her for a moment before looking around and noticing the hermit picking up trash. A Miami man gestures Hermit to approach him. The hermit approaches. On a pad of paper, Miami reveals a lovely sketch of his daughter's face. The hermit responds with a smug grin. Miami man grabs him by the collar. The hermit takes his notepad and flips through the pages admiringly until he comes to a blank page. In exchange for his daughter's address, he wants the Miami man to do his sketch. Miami man sits on a rock with a notepad and studies him for a moment before sketching. He completes the sketch and presents it to him. The sketch is taken by the hermit. He turns the page to a photo of a small girl and writes "There find comfort" at the bottom of the photo. Hermit tucks his doodle into his pocket and watches the powerful Miami man. In Comfort, a small girl lines Arlen's eyes with a black pencil. At a rave hosted by the Dream, Comfort's cult-like leader, Arlen takes a hallucinogen and loses track of the girl, who is drawn in by the Dream. Arlen is hallucinating and travels out into the desert, where she is discovered by Miami man. When Miami approaches him in the desert, she redirects her attention to the giant figure in front of her, glancing vaguely at his torso as she goes in a circle around him. He stands immobile in front of her, and she inches closer to him, resting her head on his chest. In the blazing heat of the day, Arlen is lying on her back in the sand when a Miami man comes up behind her and smacks her with her prosthetic leg. She rises and, to her surprise, begins to look around. After being threatened with death, a Miami man shows her a sketch of his little girl, holds it up to her face and asks whether she sees this girl in Comfort. Arlen is adamant in his refusal. A Miami man threatens her, telling her to go to Comfort and find this girl for him. He dangles her prosthetic leg in front of her, and she grabs for it. Miami warns her that he only cares about that little girl, and threatens her again that he would kill her if she does not find that girl for him. On their way to Comfort, Arlen and Miami man grow closer. He murders another cannibal who is attempting to trade her meat for gasoline. They continue on the bike of the cannibal who was killed by Miami man, and Miami man takes a piece of his arm with him. Arlen feels disgusted. Arlen notices his back, shoulders, and hair when riding a bike with him. As they travel through a sandstorm, a Miami man grabs a white sheet from the back of his bike and wraps it around both of them. As they sit closely together beneath the blowing sheet, they look at each other indifferently. She leans against the rock at night, watching the Miami man roast an arm over an open fire. As he slices more meat to consume, they exchange frosty looks. While talking, he reveals that he was put into lawless territory because he was an illegal immigrant from Cuba. She inquired about his bad batch number while chit-chatting. He gives her a cold stare. She leans in close to him, he turns his head, and she grabs the knife off his belt. She grins and puts it on his throat. Then he takes a step back and points it at him. He looks her in the eyes and changes his posture. She tells him that his kind is evil. "I despise all of you," she declares. He stands up and says it's okay. As he approaches, she places the blade against his abdomen. He encroaches on them till they are only a few inches apart. He leans above her, and they exchange heated stares. He is injured in the shoulder by a shot from the darkness by a Comfort man. However, Arlen reluctantly returns to Comfort with the man from Comfort. She searches for the girl, eventually discovering she is living in the Dream's mansion, along with his large harem of pregnant young women. Arlen pays a visit to the Dream, who reveals that Comfort's economy is based on the drugs his concubines produce and that the plumbing he provides keeps Comfort free of feces. Arlen agrees to join his harem. Arlen is sent to one of the rooms, where she holds one of the pregnant concubines hostages with a pistol she has hidden within her prosthetic. They leave Comfort in a golf cart after rescuing the child and reuniting with Miami man, who had been rescued and healed by the hermit. The child and Miami man reconcile happily, and Arlen implies that she would rather live in the desert with him than in Comfort. Miami man tries to discourage her, deeming her unable to survive out in the harsh desert, but does not send her away. The daughter asks for spaghetti, as she had grown accustomed to good things in the mansion. Instead, Miami Man grabs his daughter's pet rabbit, which the three of them later consume while lounging by a fire. Miami Man pats his tearful daughter on the back, then smiles as he and Arlen look into each other's eyes. And that was The Bad Batch. I hope you enjoy the video and I will see you in the next one.